in the last episode, Beowulf had heard the news that the Danes in Denmark under King Hrothgar were having some trouble with this monster called Grendel. So Beowulf arrives in full armor, being the epic hero. So this is where the cycle really starts. So Beowulf gets the call to action. He hears about a quest, and now this is Beowulf entering into the supernatural world. He's left his home, and he's entering the kingdom of the Danes, and he's going to encounter a test. And the question is, will he survive the test? Here's an artist's depiction of what Beowulf might look like. There are all kinds of depictions of Beowulf and what he might look like. You know, the proud Scandinavian warrior prince. So this section is called A Hero Arrives. And Beowulf is going to meet King Hrothgar. And he's also going to meet another Danish soldier called Unferth. And in this section, you're going to see a tradition that the Anglo-Saxons had that carried over into British culture. And it's not there so much anymore, but this culture around what we call boasting is something that still happens. You see it with like slam poetry, and you see it sometimes with hip hop culture, and you see it sometimes with other in sports, right? Like so someone will be like, "Oh, I'm the best." If you think about like sporting events or professional wrestling, there are those moments when the sport person or the wrestler is like, "I'm going to take you down. I'm a bad blah blah blah." So Beowulf and Unferth are going to have this debate. So this is where you're really going to get to meet Beowulf in person. So let's meet Beowulf and let's see what happens. Beowulf Part 3. A Hero Arrives. Beowulf and his men traveled over a calm sea from Geatland to Denmark. And as they disembark, a Danish coast guard questions them, especially why they have come dressed for battle. In the Geat leader answers. So this first section is Beowulf's voice, so I'm going to do the voices for you. The leader of the troop unlocked his word hoard, and the distinguished one delivered the answer. We belong by birth to the Geat people, and owe allegiance to Lord Hygelac. In his day, my father was a famous man, a noble warrior lord named Ecgtheow. He outlasted many a long winter and went on his way. All over the world, men wise in council continue to remember him. We come in good faith to find your lord, a nation's shield, the son of Halfdane. Give us the right advice and direction. We have arrived here on a great errand to the lord of the Danes, and I believe, therefore, there should be nothing hidden or withheld between us. So tell us if what we've heard is true about this threat, whatever it is, this danger abroad in the dark nights, this corpse-maker mongering deaths in the shielding's country. I come to proffer my wholehearted help and counsel. I can show the wise Hrothgar a way to defeat his enemy and find respite, if any repose is to reach him ever. I can calm the turmoil and terror in his mind. Otherwise, he must endure woes and live with grief for as long as his hall stands at the horizon on its high ground. The Coast Guard recognizes the nobility in the Geat leader and readily leads them on to Herod Hall. The Geat soldiers leave their boat and carry their beautiful ancient and family battle gear toward the mead hall. Upon arrival, Wulfgar, a renowned fighter, similarly questions them about their intentions at Herod. The man whose name was known for courage, the Geat leader, resolute in his helmet, answered in return, "Why, we are retainers from Hygelac's band. Beowulf's my name. If your lord and master, the most renowned son of Halfdane, will hear me out and graciously allow me to greet him in person, I am ready and willing to report my errand." The guard takes this message to Hrothgar with a description of the Geats' noble appearance. Hrothgar recounts hearing of Beowulf's deeds as a hero and how the king once helped save Ecgtheow, Beowulf's father. Hrothgar quickly agrees to let the Geats come to Heorot, and once there, Beowulf greets the Danish king. In webbed links that the smiths had woven, the fine forged mesh of his gleaming mail shirt, resolute in his helmet, Beowulf spoke. Greetings to Hrothgar. I am Hygelac's kinsman of his hall troop. When I was younger, I had great triumphs. The news of Grendel, hard to ignore, reached me at home. Sailors brought stories of the plight you suffer in this legendary hall, how it lies deserted, empty, and useless once the evening light hides itself under heaven's dome. So every elder and experienced councilman among my people supported my resolve to come here to you, King Hrothgar, because all knew of my awesome strength. They had seen me bolstered in the blood of enemies when I battled and bound 5 beasts and raided a troll's nest in the night sea, slaughtered sea brutes. I have suffered extremed and avenged the Geats. Their enemies brought it upon themselves. I devastated them. Now I mean to be a match for Grendel. Settle the outcome in single combat. And so my request, O King of the Bright Danes, dear Prince of the Shieldings, friend of the people in their ring of defense, my one request is that you won't refuse me, who have come this far, the privilege of purifying Heorot. With my own men to help me and nobody else. I have heard, moreover, that this monster scorns in his reckless way to use weapons. Therefore, to heighten Hygelac's fame and gladden his heart, I hereby renounce sword and shelter of the broad shield, the heavy war broad. Hand to hand is how it will be, a life and death fight with the fiend. Whichever one death fells must deem it a just judgment by God. If Grendel wins, it will be a gruesome day, and he will glut himself on the Geats in the war hall, swoop without fear on that flower of manhood as on others before, and then my face won't be there to be covered in death. He will carry me away as he goes to ground. Gorged and bloodied, he will run gloating with my raw corpse and feed on it alone in a cruel frenzy, fouling in his mole nest. No need then to lament for long or lay out my body. If the battle takes me, send back this breast webbing that Welland fashioned and Hrethel gave me to Lord Hygelac. Fate goes ever as fate must. In answer, Hrothgar recounts the help he gave Beowulf's father by supplying him with enough treasure and Weirgild to avoid war with the Wolfings. Although Hrothgar says it bothers him to have someone else kill Grendel, he knows that Beowulf has his father's debt to pay. A bench is then cleared for Beowulf and his men to enjoy the food and the mead of the great hall. Then a bench was cleared in that banquet hall, so the Geats could have room to be together, and at the party sat, proud in their bearing, strong and stalwart. An attendant stood by, with a decorated pitcher, pouring bright helpings of mead, and the minstrel sang, filling Heorot with the head-clearing voice, gladdening the great rally of Geats and Danes. Here we go. From where he crouched at the king's feet, Unferth, a son of Ecglaf, spoke contrary words. Beowulf's coming, his sea-braving made him sick with envy. He could not brook or abide the fact that anyone else alive under heaven might enjoy greater regard than he did. Are you the Beowulf who took on Breca in a swimming match on the open sea, risking the water just to prove that you could win? It was sheer vanity made you venture out on the main deep. And no matter who tried, friend or foe, to deflect the pair of you, neither would back down. The sea test obsessed you. You waded in embracing water, taking its measure-mastering currents, riding on the swells. The ocean swayed and winter went wild in the waves, but you vied for 7 nights, and then he outswam you, came ashore the stronger contender. He was cast up safe and sound one morning among the Hethremes, and then made his way to where he belonged in Bronding country, home again sure of his ground in strong moon of brawn. So Breca made good his boast upon you, and was proved right. No matter, therefore, how you may have fared in every bout and battle until now. This time you'll be worsted. No one has ever outlasted an entire night against Grendel, Unferth said. So Beowulf, Ecgtheow's son, replied, Well, friend, Unferth, you've had your say about Breca and me, but it was mostly beer that was doing the talking. The truth is this. When the going was heavy in those high waves, I was the strongest swimmer of all. We'd been children together, and we grew up daring ourselves to outdo each other, boasting and urging each other to risk our lives on the sea. And so it turned out. Each of us swam holding a sword, a naked, hard-proofed blade for protection against the whale beasts, but Breca could never move out farther or faster from me than I could manage to move from him. Shoulder to shoulder we struggled on for 5 nights, until the long flow and pitch of the waves, the perishing cold night falling, and winds from the north drove us apart. The steep boiled up, and its wallowing sent the sea brutes wild, and my armor helped me hold out. My hard-ringed chainmail, hard forged and linked, a fine close fitting of filigree of gold, kept me safe when some ocean creature pulled me to the bottom, pinioned fast and swathed in its grip. I was granted one final chance. My sword plunged, and the ordeal was over. Though my hands, the fury of battle, had finished off the sea beast. And Beowulf continues bragging. Time and again foul things attacked me, lurking and stalking, but I lashed out, gave as good as I got with my sword. My flesh was not for feasting on. There would be no monsters gnawing and gloating over their banquets at the bottom of the sea. Instead, in the morning, mangled and sleeping the sleep of the sword, they slopped and floated like the ocean's livings. And from now on, sailors would be safe. The deep sea raids were over for good. Light came from the east, bright guarantee of God, and the waves went quiet. I could see the headlands and buffeted cliffs. Often for undaunted courage, fate spares the man it had not already marked. However it occurred, my sword had killed 9 sea monsters. Such night dangers and hard ordeals I never heard of, nor man more desolate than surging waves. But worn out as I was, I survived, came through with my life, and the ocean lifted and laid me ashore, and I landed safe on the coast of Finland. Now, I cannot recall any fight you entered, Unferth, that bears comparison. I don't boast when I say that neither you nor Breca were ever much celebrated for swordsmanship, or for facing danger on the field of battle. You killed your own kith and kin. So for all your cleverness and quick tongue, you will suffer damnation in the depths of hell. The fact is, Unferth, if you were truly as keen or courageous as you claim to be, Grendel would never have got away with such unchecked atrocity, attacks on your king, havoc inherent and horrors everywhere. But he knows he need never be in dread of your blade making mizzle of his blood, or of vengeance arriving ever from this quarter. From the victory shieldings, the shoulderers of the spear, he knows he can trample down you Danes to his heart's content, humiliate and murder without fear of reprisal. But he will find me different. I will show him how Geats shape to kill in the heat of battle. Then whosoever wants to may go bravely to mead when morning light, scarfed in sun drazzle, shines forth from the south, and bring another daybreak to the world. Then the gray-haired treasure-giver was glad. Far famed in battle, the prince of Bright Danes and keeper of his people counted on Beowulf, on the warrior's steadfastness and his word. And the feast continued until Wealhtheow, Hrothgar's king, came in and served mead to the warriors. And with the queen's cup in hand, Beowulf made a formal boast restating his intention to fight Grendel in a battle to the death. At the end of the feast, Hrothgar left Heret in Beowulf's care, and he again states his intention to fight Grendel barehanded. And once all the Danes leave, the Geats settle in to sleep in the cursed mead hall. So that's the end of part 3. At this point, Beowulf has made his formal boast. He shot down Unferth, who's like, oh, Beowulf, you'll never be able to defeat the monster. But, it's always those people who've never actually done anything with their lives that are the first to criticize you for being accomplished. And our hero, Beowulf, is very accomplished, right? He's saved people. He's a famous knight. He comes from all famous people. Hrothgar knew his father, right? But Hrothgar trusts Beowulf. So we'll see in the next episode the fight between Grendel and Beowulf. See you then.